What is up, you guys? Today we're doing a video about what Ref has to offer through loyalty level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's get right into it. Very similar barter items. We got bolts, the same key, light bulbs. The downside is a lot of this is not found in raids. So there's not a huge incentive on really using your GP to purchase these items if you have access to the flea market. We have similar, again, body armor, tier 3s, tier 3 helmet, some night vision. But the biggest change for pretty much every single loyalty level is the weapons that he has to offer. Again, I'm going to go through them pretty quick. We got the SKS, 60 vertical, 50 ergo, which is pretty solid for an SKS build. AK-105. This one's not as good because the ergo is really low. So it could be a lot better, especially with the stock in the back. MPX is pretty mid-tier, super horrible ergonomics. We have the AKM. This is not a horrible build. Typically what you'll have to do with this is just replace the muzzle, the silencer if you wanted to, and then the sight. You're pretty much set. BP19, it's okay. Really low recoil. You could buy PvP off the flea market and throw it into here, and that would make it pretty strong. Otherwise, it's just a mid-tier weapon in my opinion, because it doesn't have very high muscle velocity. So you're really only going to be able to use this gun really close range. Loyalty level 2, again, simple barter items. We are breaking into tier 4 here with these armors, the helmet, a decent backpack. It has a 25 slot. You have cases, and then you have a bunch of different guns. RD704 is my main choice here. Even throughout like the entirety of his stock, I think loyalty level 4 might have a few builds that are pretty decent too. When wipe started, there's pretty much no way to consistently get hollows. So being able to pretty much access loyalty level 2 right off the bat with the start of wipe, you could get the XPS 3 zeros from this MP5, even though it's 19 GP. 19 is not horrible. You can sell the rest of the gun if you wanted to, but at least you can kind of start stocking up on those sites. Ammunition is not very great. We got TCW SPs, some SS 197s for the P90. And we have the MCX, but again, this build is pretty trash with the ergonomics and the recoil reduction. So if you're planning to just kind of sit back and, focus on recoil reduction, they're not horrible. But in my opinion, you're not going to really be able to run around too much with these weapons that he has to offer, unless you're going with, again, close range weapons. So SR25 is pretty good, comes with a good scope and everything right off the bat. It's not my personal favorite, but again, we do have 81 vertical, 45 ergo, so it's not horrible, but it's really good. And eventually you can use M80s from loyalty level 3 once you get that unlocked. With loyalty level 3, we get SOST ammo for 5.56. SOST is very good because it has 33 pen, and it does deal, I think, around 50 damage. So it's a pretty solid round, especially when Flea was not available. And then you have PP rounds for the 5.45. So for AKs like the AK-74N, or the AK-74U is like a more common one. PP is very good, especially at the start of wipe when Flea is not available. We have more tier 4 armors here, helmet, as well as the USAC armor. This plate carrier does only have tier 4 plates in it. It doesn't have 5 like it did in the previous wipe, as well as we have some items case and weapons cases you could purchase for Legas, as well as the T30 backpack. This RSAS build is very nice. Again, you just have to take off a few parts to really get that ergo back up. MK47, again, is not my favorite. We have such horrible ergonomics with this build. The 74N is super good. This is basically a meta 74N build. It's one of my favorite builds in the game. However, it's so expensive at 80 GP. SA58 is pretty mid-tier in my opinion. Again, it's just that the ergonomics and the recoil is just so brutal. I just can't. AK-12, this is not a horrible build actually because of the grenade launcher. That's pretty much its redeeming factor. The SCAR 5.56. This actually isn't horrible. We got 65 vertical, 53 ergo. The sight, it's not my favorite as well. Then I do not have access to loyalty level 4 yet. I'm getting close to it. I got 0.85 loyalty. So I'm, probably a couple weeks away before I get that unlocked still. But we have, again, BP for 4 GP, which is really nice. Got AP rounds for, I think it's for the UMP. Graphics cards, again, back at 45 GP. A few silencers. The waffle silencer for 7 GP there, which is really nice. At the AS-FAL, AS-FAL is huge. That thing is decked out. It has a 30-round magazine in it. Usually those are pretty expensive. So all you have to do is really buy another 30-round magazine. You're pretty much set with that AS-FAL build. Ash 12 is mid-tier. You got a grenade launcher, probably worth a leg of metal. That M4 is also... It has a really good silencer. I assume that this has pretty low recoil because it is pretty close to being a meta build. I think it's some of the best parts you can put on an M4. However, 45 GP is pretty expensive. Personally, I'd rather probably get the MDR just because of how good M80s are right now, because they buffed the penetration for M80s, I think it was last wipe, to 43 penetration, and it still does a lot of damage. We have an all-in for 50. I don't know if these armor plates are, tier 5 or tier 6. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these were 5. I know that with the fort armor, you could probably get tier 6 that comes inside of it. That's what I was doing last swipe, was just stocking up on fort armors and just constantly taking those plates out of it and just using it in, different rigs or different armor sets that I had. This is a 7.62 Scar, which is pretty good. It's not as good as the MDR still, in my opinion. I use it a lot in Arena, and the MDR is just so much better. The Spear is finally 39 GP now instead of 80, which I think it was last wipe. The Spear is a pretty solid weapon, but you have to do a lot of Peacekeeper tasks to unlock the better ammunition. I think this is a 6B armor here on the left for 32 GP. This, I think, did not come with any plates, as well as this armored rig. I think it only came with tier 5 armor, as well as this Gen 4 probably only comes with tier 5 armor, which is still pretty good, but it's very expensive at 43 GP. So we got thick items case or weapons case and then items case. You start stocking up those Lego medals, and you can trade those in to get a lot of space. 12 GP is pretty huge for this backpack. It does have a massive amount of space. It's still probably not as good as, again, the T30 in my opinion, just because the detriments to that backpack are probably way higher. Again, just a super quick video, you guys, just giving you a rundown of what Ref has in patch 0.16 this time around. Hopefully we'll get release of the main game soon, but as you know, it could be 5 more years from now before we get that to happen. If you found this video useful though, please like and subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Hopefully I can hit 500 subs before the end of the year. That is my goal, so we'll see if we can make it happen. But you guys have a great rest of your day and have a good one.